This is the Get Better Everyday podcast with Matt Gouget. Actionable advice from real life superheroes who, just like you, are in relentless pursuit of the best version of themselves. Whether you're just getting started or have been at it for years, my hope is that this podcast injects you with some positive energy to continue doing what brings you joy. Join me as I interview the best of the best in business, sports, and life. Let's grow together. All right, Matt Gouget, Get Better Everyday podcast. If you get any value out of this podcast, all I ask is that you share it with a friend, you subscribe. If you really want to make me smile, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. Today, my friend Tanya Wermund, did I get that right?
Wermund.
Yes. Wermund, close enough. Tanya Wermund, really excited to chat with you today. I see you out there getting better every day, taking the reins and steering your life in the direction you want to steer it. So give us a quick overview, maybe 1 to 2 minutes of who you are.
Well, I am co-founder with Rebel Women. We elevate women to positions of power. I also work on a team here at Empire Home Loans with Raisa Fudem. We just opened an office in Roseville. So I do originate as well, but I get more excitement about being part of a team than being a solo originator. So that's how I got here. And I started in the business it's high school. My dad brought me in the business 30 years ago. So
wow.
I've been in and around it, out of it, told myself the business broke my heart, when the last crash happened. So I said, I'm never going to do this again. I got my accounting degree and here I am again. I'm a sucker for this business. It's in my blood.
Yeah. It beats you down, it chews you up, spits you out, and you keep coming back for more. That's probably a good place to take the conversation because I'd love to talk about a bunch of different stuff you have going on, and we'll probably get back to Rebel Women. But for like mortgage industry specific, I think that in the spirit of get better every day, there's a lot of folks out there that, trying times ahead. And I don't think it's any surprise, the real estate market, the mortgage market, the stock market, people's jobs, the economy, there might be some rough waters ahead, some storms ahead. You said you've been in it 3 decades, and I can't believe it because you're only 29 years old. But what would be some advice you would give to get better everyday listeners about, like, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows? What do you personally do to make sure that you're, battle tested and ready for any oncoming storms?
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I started the 75-day quest. I'm not calling it hard. Because your mental game, it's all in mental, because every day you have to have a talk to yourself every morning. You can't look at all the bad news every day. You'd just be miserable. So you got to focus on getting your mind right and getting the grind tight.
Yes, yeah.
UWM. I'm like, I love that. I'm like,
we got to give a special shout out to Mateen Cleaves with UWM. Get your mind right and get your grind tight. One of my favorite sayings. I'm glad that somebody else out there is
every time he says it, I'm like, you it.
Yeah. And here's the cool part for anybody listening. No matter what neighborhood you live in, no matter how old you are, no matter how big or small, yellow, green, purple, your mind is controlled by you, right? And getting your mind right and getting your grind tight, that's something that anybody can do. It's not something where if somebody has a silver spoon, they've got an advantage. I know people from all walks of life with massive success, whether it's in sports, whether it's in business, no matter what it is. And so the mental game, I'm glad you brought that up. It's super important. So I would love to pick your brain, because you're not calling it 75 hard. You're calling it the 75-day experience. Quest.
It's a quest. Yeah.
Okay. It's a quest. Tell me about your experience with that, because for anybody who doesn't know, a quick overview of it is it's kind of a 75-day challenge to yourself. Yeah. Can you follow these steps every single day? And you repeat it, I might mess it up on what the daily regimen.
So it's two 45-minute workouts. One has to be outside, no matter what the conditions are. 10 pages of a nonfiction self-development book is what I usually read. A gallon of water, you take a progress picture every day. And that was probably the most realist thing I had to do because I was really in denial, I think, of how um, off track I got, just lazy and off track. And I think that's it.
Yeah, 2 workouts, the water. I think you got to follow a diet plan. It's not a specific
I
one, but
follow a diet
anyone.
plan.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
then that. And so it's not easy. And I've talked to a lot of people. Actually, I think it was 2020 I did it, and I got into the 30s and I got sick. Something happened. I had to, stop that mission on my 75-day quest.
Yeah.
What kind of, thoughts, feelings, advice do you have? Because where are you? Somewhere towards the middle?
I'm 32 or 33 days now. So the first attempt at this was years ago before COVID. I think I got to day 8. And then I was like, what am I doing? But I know right now, especially in our industry and everything that we're going through in life, in, our country, there's a lot of things that are impacting our mental game. And so pretty much said, I need to focus on getting more discipline because, I'm an empty nester and I've enjoyed not having any responsibilities. Um, and I can just take off when I want. But to me, it's like that got me, I think, a little lazy. So here I am just trying to get my mental game back. And that it's really helping me just to have a focus on my health. And because my health has declined, I'm getting close to 50. So I'm having a lot of like joint issues and things like that. So I think getting my health in order and the mental is key to everything we do.
I
Our
totally agree.
mental
And
game, our business, our personal life, we need to take care of ourselves. And so that's where I'm at. I need to take care of me.
yeah, I love it. And I want to pull something out that you mentioned because, surviving the mortgage industry for 30 years, building the business that you've built, the team that you've built, I know you're not lazy. And I would replace the word lazy with comfortable. And I think that anybody listening, in whether it's your health, whether it's your business, whether it's relationships, I think getting comfortable is
Mhm.
where you start to fall off track and you revert back to the mean, or you revert back to, something being stagnant.
Yeah.
And for growth in any area, which is kind of the whole motto of get better every day. If you're focused on getting incrementally better, just a little bit better every single day, the progress over a year, 5 years, 10 years is humongous. If you
Mhm.
get comfortable and you use the word lazy,
Yeah.
it can fall apart, right? And I think that's what people need to hear. No matter where you're at, if you want to get better, it doesn't take huge steps. It doesn't take, from 1 week to the next, you're going to be in fitness competitions, right? Like I've been in and out of gyms and I've had, health, and wellness kind of swings, right? Like I've gone anywhere from 175 pounds to 230, and it's just a matter of focus
Yeah.
and not being comfortable. Because one of the memorable ones for me, I guess, was when my wife was pregnant with our first child. I called it being supportive, right? she was gaining weight and carrying a child, and I just got lazy and comfortable and sat and gained 50 pounds myself. So what do they call that? Like supportive weight or whatever it is, but
Yeah. Empathy weight or whatever.
empathy weight. Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's cool. I'm proud of you. You're 4x what you did the last time around. So I'm going to root you on to get through 75 days of that, because like you said, it's just a mental thing. And then you realize you're like, okay, that was really hard.
Yeah.
And by staying focused, I was able to do it. It was just a mental game. So my mortgage business, hard, but I can do it.
Yep.
Relationship, hard, but I can do it. And anything you can accomplish. And I think that's what most people who I see doing those type of challenges, it's just to sharpen the mental muscle.
Yes. Right.
Which helps in all areas. So cool. I know you mentioned to me other areas that you're working on getting better every day. One of them is public speaking. Tell us about Had you ever joined Toastmasters before? Or is this the first go around?
Yeah, when they initially started it at the Realtor Association, I joined, I guess they had it in Roseville or something, and then they moved it to SAR. And I joined it then, and I only did my icebreaker speech back then. And then I had some challenges at home, and I needed to really refocus my energy. And I took some time away from that. So now that I'm working on my personal development for myself, I know that's one of my skills I need to work on, because it's something that's always been a challenge. I'm a introvert. It's like a struggle. When I first did public speaking, any kind of like first time home buyer seminar, I was up there, I was sweaty. So, sweaty and nervous.
I feel like everybody says that, and knowing you and seeing you out networking, talking to people, growing your business. I think that everybody needs to hear this, that no matter how good anybody is and how good they appear, on the inside, they're scared to death. Yeah. Every time I press play on a podcast, I'm scared. Every time I record a YouTube video, I'm scared. Every time I get up in front of people, this is the time I'm going to fumble F it and say something wrong. So it's a matter of taking the steps, right? And going back to, if you're comfortable, you're not growing.
Right.
If you're taking steps, join Toastmasters, then you're growing. I'd love to talk about Rebel Women, because I went to that amazing event you guys held in Folsom. But I don't know, honestly, a ton about what it is, what you guys are doing. Just seems like something that's cool and interesting. So tell us about that, please.
Yeah. My business partner and I, we met through Women's Council of Realtors, and both of us kind of bonded. Both of our sons were going through some challenges, and at the time, we thought we were the only ones in the world having those challenges. And we became really close friends through the years. We've obviously, through Women's Council, we do lots of events, and she got a job. Her name's Jan Tabor. She works at the Capitol. She's a communications director for Senator Jim Nielsen. But she took a job prior to this at a nonprofit, and it was a challenging job, to say the least. But what we found, and she said, I need help, Tanya. Do you want to come work with me? And I was doing loans, but I also wasn't very consistent. So I said, sure, I'll do that part-time. And we were able to do some really incredible things. I mean, it was a very stressful job. And some of the projects we worked on together were amazing. I mean, I can go into detail on that, but at another time. But what we found out in that process is we have skill sets that really complement each other. She has skills and abilities that I admire, especially in the communications aspect. And I think I may have some skills that, work well with her as far as the marketing part and some of the technical things that she doesn't want, in accounting, I'm an accounting degree. So there's all other things that come to play together. So with Rebel Women, really Jan's vision was to help women get elected to political office. And one thing we've heard through Women's Council is that the industry needs to protect themselves by being more involved in politics, unfortunately. And women get a different message than men do when it comes to running for things. Men, you could be driving a truck, blue collar guy, and somebody can come to you and say, you could be the next senator, you could be the next governor. But what women get told is, oh, maybe you can run for, the PTA or the school board, and then maybe you could do this. And it's always this carrot thing. Nobody comes to women and say, you can run. You could run for governor. You could be the president of the United States. The messaging isn't the same. So a lot of what's behind Rebel Women is about empowering women. They don't need to run for political office, but that's kind of like our stretch goal. We'd love to see realtors decide they want to become senators, congresswomen, and be more involved in politics to protect the industry. And we're built this to support them, to give them like the wings to fly.
I love it. I love it. So is it open to all women? Is it specific to like real estate industry women, or just all women in general?
It's just our circle, because we met through Women's Council, and a lot of the things we've done is in harmony with what Women's Council does. It just happens. Proximity is why we're a lot of the people that are drawn to us are realtors, but we're open to everybody. We've met all kinds of different business women, entrepreneurial spirited women that just want to get better. Again, that's a similar message. So
right. Yeah, you're gonna have to introduce me to some of them. I'd love to have some. I've got a female entrepreneur that I plan to have on the podcast doing really cool stuff. And it's funny when I think about women and politics and the message that you're saying. I want to be empathetic to the fact that, like, you're probably right, the messaging is not the same. And might be just because of the people I hang around with, but I think about some of these realtors that have built really successful businesses, some of these powerful women in mortgage, and ones that are involved at SAC Association of Realtors, and would be the best in some of these positions, right? Because I know, I mean, when I was at Answer Home Loans, of the top 10 loan officers, at least half were women. And I remember speaking at AIM and speaking to other people within the mortgage industry about there's skill sets that lend themselves to women really being a powerful force in the mortgage industry. And it might just be because of, I don't know, old type of structures where the average loan officer is some 55-year-old white dude, right? And then you've got these super sharp women who are empathetic, attention to detail, all the things that go into making a great loan officer or running a successful mortgage business. So cheers to you, Rebel Women, for the stuff you're doing, not just for real estate and mortgage folks, but for all women entrepreneurs. For sure, I'm going to have some of them on here. That's cool.
Am I the first woman on your podcast?
You are. Yep. The first of many. Yeah, I'm getting in touch with a bunch of different people. I got a bunch of commitments to, we're going to get something on the calendar, but you are the first woman. So you'll always be able to wear that crown.
Yes.
I'd love to talk to you too about leadership. I ran across something that you had posted about leadership's not about being the best. Leadership's about making everyone else better. And, while I can tell we're aligned in get better every day, self-development, trying to improve ourselves, I think there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from being a leader and help others grow. So whether it's Rebel Women or it's your mortgage team or something else, what can you tell us as far as what you've learned from being in leadership roles and how much of an impact you can have in that regard?
Yeah. Women's Council obviously is head and shoulders above the rest with as far as leadership development's concerned in our industry. But I have a quote that I have branded in my brain for many years, and it is Henry David Thoreau. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. And that has sat with me probably for 25 years, where you obviously, you have the power to go anywhere, and it all starts with your mind. But leadership too, just because you have a title, somebody's the president of something, or, the manager or whatever, it really doesn't mean you're a leader, and there's a book I just read. Obviously we got to read these pages for the 75-day quest. And one of the books I reread was called How Successful People Lead by John Maxwell. And it talks about the different levels of leadership. And in that book, one thing that once you get to the higher levels, let's say the higher levels of leadership, those people generally, and these are people I like to surround myself with, they're the doers. They're the people that, they don't lord their title over you. They're very humble, and they're willing to lift other people up as well. And so, man, I'm always trying to be better because I realize I'm put in different positions of leadership in different events or different organizations. And I like being in those roles of responsibility, but I also want to be somebody that people can look up to, people be inspired by, and know that I'm going to work just as hard as the next person, and I'm not going to whip them into doing anything, or whatever, and it probably goes back to, I'm a mom too. And, I really care about what kind of example I'm going to be for my children and my grandchildren now. So, yeah, that's a little bit about.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. It's interesting too, because, different phases of life, you're doing different things. And I feel like, in my business and being a father of two boys, 13 and 9, who are looking at dad every day, leadership is something that I'm personally working on. And you mentioned too, there's going to be things that in different seasons of life, this is something I'm going to consciously work on. I'm going to get better every day at being a husband, being a father, being a business owner, being a leader, whatever it is. I like what you said, and I want to highlight it for everybody listening. A title doesn't make you a leader. Yeah. And I think it was last year's AIM Fuse event in Vegas, where I sat in a private VIP event with Simon Sinek, and he said that exact same thing. Is you might have somebody who works on a team and just naturally they're trying to help other people out. They're showing people by example and leading by example what hard work looks like, being first in the office. And they're a leader, right? This person with the vice president title or head of operations or whatever that title is, might not be a leader just because they have it, and telling somebody do this because I said or whatnot is not a leader. There's a lot more that goes into it. And so that's also something I'm working on. And I realized it, to be transparent, for the first probably 5 or 6 years of my mortgage career, which I didn't start until 2014, I was really good at originating mortgages, promoting myself and creating relationships and bringing mortgages in. Once I started adding people to the team, I had no idea how to lead. I had no idea how to grow a team. And so over time, I've developed those skills, and it's still a work in progress, but I really liked Jocko's extreme ownership, where like ultimately it's all me. It's all my fault. If anything, that I'm in charge of breaks, it's because I wasn't leading in the correct way and setting the proper vision and all that other stuff. So cool. Well, I really appreciate your time, Tanya. And this was cool. Again, you're going to wear the crown, the first woman on the pod of many. I'm going to have you introduce me to some other badass women out there. Anything in closing you'd like to say, or any advice, for anybody?
I just really appreciate you having me on here, because I really admire what you do and all that you've built, and you're somebody I like to follow and support and all that. So, good luck to you with the podcast. I think it's awesome. And it's my first time ever being on a podcast. So
awesome. Well, I know that for me, my inspiration, my fuel is when I see somebody like you talking about doing something that's hard, doing this 75-day journey, this quest. It's hard, but I'm doing it because I want to get better. And, you've done a lot of stuff like that. And there's literally stories every single day of people doing that. I hope this podcast inspires somebody who's got some goal, some dream, something. You start taking steps in the right direction. Like Tanya mentioned earlier. Thank you so much for joining, Tanya. Have a great one.
You're welcome. Thank you.